Where do we start?
Yeah? Huh? 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 No. No. Huh? 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 Oh, don't touch that. Do not touch it. No. We cannot touch it. Do not touch it. Do not touch it.
Be a disciplinarian, not a dick. Talk about the word of the week. It's a pretty big word. The word of the week. Punitive. Say punitive. Punitive. The word of the week is punitive. And I'm not expecting for Sharif to memorize that, nor completely understand the gravity of the word, but I use that as the word of the week because I've been acting that way toward Sharif. An example would be I took him outside a few weeks ago, and this was when he was riding the skateboard. And he didn't want to ride it because it was frustrating him because he didn't know how to. So he started whining. And as soon as he whined, I tapped him on his side. And I said, stop whining like that, or I'm going to take you inside and I'm going to spank that bottom. Now, first off, I've never spanked my son. I've never whipped my son. I've never, any of the things that I remember my mother doing to me, I've never done to my son. Repeat this after me, please. Saya, I think, excuse me, may I have this, please? Because I don't like that this is a disturbance. Saya, you may have to go downstairs.
Go downstairs and sit in reflection, Saya.
Thank you. The fact that I threatened him was me being bullish. And the thing is, I saw his whining as a weakness because I know when you go out into the world and if people see you crying and people see you just showing any leak of weakness, they'll violate you. In that moment, like I tried to toughen him up, but I was being a bully. I did the exact thing to him that I don't want him to do. I struck fear in him, and I don't want him to be a fearful person. Punitive. Punitive means aiming toward punishment. Say that. Aiming toward
Punishment.
Say aiming toward punishment. So when someone uses a punitive method, they are attempting or trying to punish you.
We're very candid about our life, about our family. We seek to just be honest and transparent about things that parents think, but they don't always have the courage to say, or they don't know that they need to say. And so basically, Sharif and I were editing. Well, Sharif was editing, and I was, just sitting here,
sitting there,
and I heard myself say, "Stop lying," and I was like, "What? What is that?" And then I came, and I looked at the computer, and I noticed it was me talking to my son. Now, this is in no way an excuse, but my son has started school this week, and we've been really trying to get our scheduling right and just, work through everything. He's going for a whole day. So in 4 years, because we're pretty stiff with nap time, Sharif has taken a nap all his life between 12 and 1. And if he doesn't, he's a grouch. So he's been coming home. He's been being very aggressive towards Saya. He's been very critical, highly critical of her. And he has been not lying, but he's been telling the truth from his perspective. I know that sounds like I'm making an excuse for my child, but my son is very literal. And so, like, for instance, this morning, and I didn't even get to tell you yet, he and I were talking, and he said to me, you know, because you whooped me. And I'm like, no, he said, you beat me. And I was like...
He said you beat?
He said you beat me. And I was like, oh, what? And so I got very serious, and I grabbed him by his wrist, and I'm like, hold on, son, like, let's talk about this. And he said, well, I said, I beat you? Have I ever hit you? And he said, no. And I said, so why would you say that I beat you?
Right.
And he said, well, you said you would with a belt. And that's the truth from his perspective.
So are you saying that when mom and dad interrupt you, you're being punitive?
No.
Or we're punishing you? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, how? Why?
Because you guys want to.
Sharif and I have both threatened him with a belt, but we've never actually used it.
And see, that's the thing, like, that's the part of it, like the threatening part. Imagine you went to a restaurant that you've never been to, right? You sit down at the table, order your food. The manager comes over and says to you, next time make sure you order it this way. So you're like, okay. Then you have your drink in front of you, right? And you're about to sip the drink. And then the manager comes over again and says, next time, sip it this way. And then your food comes. And then you're about to put it to your mouth. And the manager comes over again and says, you need to eat it this way. Or you need to hold your fork that way. Or hold your spoon. Or hold your knife that way. And he just keep coming over and correcting you. And then on top of that, he's saying, if you don't get it right, I'm kicking you out of this restaurant. That's exactly how I feel it is that when Sharif, when we are in our mode, and when we're delivering these messages to Sharif that are harsh. Sharif, what's an example of mom and dad us trying to punish you? What's an example of punishing you?
Talking to me and get me out of it.
What do you mean?
I mean, if you talk, that means enter talk.
I know we're not the only ones. I'm pretty sure if you're a parent, you've done or you're doing the same thing. And like Babe said, we want to bring awareness to this because, like, at the end of the day, you need to stop. You need to set a standard and say, I'm going to speak to my child
respectfully.
Yeah, respectfully.
As though I would want someone to speak to me, not the way that they need to be spoken to.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Because that's not
that's
clear.
Open, yeah, that's open
when you
interpretation.
disrespect and demean your child, you are sending a message to them that they are not enough, that they're not worthy, and that they should accept disrespect from others.
Right.
If you treat your child with love and kindness, hopefully they spread love and kindness in the universe. And when that hatred comes up against them, they feel so repulsed by it that they don't welcome it into their sphere.
Right.
Which is what we thought we were doing. But thankfully, through editing these vlogs, we have gotten a chance to see things in ourselves that we don't like.
It's about what Sharif did in school today. Hopefully, when I open up his book bag, his teacher would have written something, or we can know what happened today. Let's see. Says his name. Okay. So we have a weekly communication form. We gave him a peanut butter jelly sandwich today. And so they said no peanuts, please, because it's a peanut-free environment. We didn't know. My going forward is this. It's not because it's the Christmas season. I'm asking God. I 100% am very honest right now. I'm asking God to give me a spirit of benevolence so I can extend it toward my son, so I can extend it toward my daughter, because God willing, they are going to spend more years as adults as they are as children. And so these pivotal years, what you do with your child is going to... You won't be eating any more peanut butter jelly sandwiches at school because there's people who are allergic to them, okay? Okay.
It has an effect on their... It's
going to affect their adulthood, and it'll
and
set...
someone else's...
Right.
You know?
And someone else's. It'll set the trajectory for what they're... for who they're going to be, for how they're going to turn out. I mean, like, think about it this way. He won't be as concise about what his day consisted of that we want to know. What are you doing?
So then this.
So if you were to go to the garden and you plant a seed, you don't then get mad at the seed because it's not growing how you want it to grow. Like, you don't look at the seed and say, you need to grow like a plant. You need to do this. And if you don't, I'm going to take you out the dirt and I'm going to send you back to where you came. Like, you don't holler and threaten the seed. It will grow when it needs to grow. But what you do as the gardener is you break the soil, you water it, you make sure the sunlight, it comes in so that it's exposed to something bright, to something beautiful. You make sure that it's warm so it can grow and germinate into what it's supposed to be and to what God intended it to be. But the growth process doesn't happen because you're threatening it or because you're hollering at the ground and saying, grow like how I want you to. That's not how it works. And so we're human beings, but like, we're way more important than the plants, way more important than the animals, way more important than the dirt. So if a gardener won't speak to the plant that way, why would you speak to your child that way?
Your child who you carried inside of your body and you took care of, for a certain amount of time. And sometimes you have to, I'm talking to myself. We're talking to you guys, but we're talking to ourselves.
Yeah.
I have to look at my son because when I heard myself talking to my baby that way, I felt disgusted. I wanted to throw up. I couldn't even sleep last night. And it's because I have to remember, like, this is the baby that I held inside of my body, that I prayed over, that you talked to.
Yeah.
The child who I held in my arms when he was born and I kissed him all over and I rubbed him down after a bath. This is who I'm saying. Don't lie. That's just not, that's not peace.
And it's funny because you said that last night. You said the same thing last night about remembering that this is the same human being that you carried for 9 months. And the thing is, Felicia said, in the moment when I'm in my way, that I don't remember
right
at that moment that this is my special gift. And that was the same thing for me. I didn't remember that this is the boy that I called my best friend since he was born. Since I decided to be a stay-at-home dad with him for those 2 years of his life. You can't just forget those pivotal moments because you're stuck in a mad moment.
You can't allow yourself. Your child's future depends on you remembering how precious they are and valuing them, not devaluing your baby. I don't care if it's a 4-year-old, a newborn, or a 20-year-old. Your child is your child. Your child is the most precious thing that God. This is your future. And if you want your future to pour back into you, you really need to pour water, not Kool-Aid, into it. And so, we're not going to take up too much of you guys' time. We just want you to know that being a disciplinary does not mean that you have to be a disciplinarian.
Indeed.
It doesn't mean that you have to treat your child aggressively or harshly, that you need to raise your voice at them. A peaceful parent raises a happy child. And so if it means ridding yourself of the negative energy, if it means ridding yourself of your problems, if it means you have to downsize because you can't afford your rent and you stressed out, you need to downsize.
Yes.
But what you can't compromise is child rearing.
Welfare of your child. That's true.
Anyway, guys, we thank you so much for watching.
Yes.
As always,
when something seems bad, turn it around and make something good. Blessings.